Hello students, welcome to Btech360. We've been covering a series of institutions for you which are beyond IITs, NITs and IIITs, which you must keep it as a part of your consideration set. These are colleges which don't go through a JOSA counseling possibly, but still do admit students from all over the country also, and their student outcomes, which is placements, are far better than many of the IITs, NITs and IIITs. In that process, I'm going to cover one college which is based out of Pune. And before I actually tell you all about this college, the placements, how you can get in, what kind of rank will get you in, and how you, if you're a student from outside the state of Maharashtra, how you can get in, 3 requests that I always have for you. Please subscribe to Btech360. We need your support. If you want me to cover any other college, please write to me in this message box and I'll be happy to cover that for you. And a lot of parents and students have written to us saying that they can't obviously put up all their questions on social media because they don't want to be out there for public scrutiny. In which case, there's a WhatsApp number that I gave you here. Please message us on this WhatsApp number and one of our counselors will call you, understand your issue, and then a senior level counselor will call you. Now about this particular institute, which I talked of, which is in Pune. When we looked at data, the kind of salary and the median salary and everything that this college is getting is far better than many of the NITs and IIITs. Not necessarily better than IITs, but definitely better than most of the NITs and IIITs. And more importantly, they also take a lot of students from outside their own state entrance examination. These are colleges which are actually the best in the state, mind you. But they are delivering a far better outcome than some of the national institutions. And we're doing a series. We're doing it one a day. For the next 30 days, we'll keep covering one institute for you every single day. And if you've not seen our earlier videos, please go back to it. We've done a few other institutions. We're numbering it so that you exactly know which is the institution that you should be looking at. So please look at all the other colleges that we covered before this, because we want you to get into the best college possible. And these ones that we are talking about are hidden gems. At a national level, they're not known, but at a state level, they're the most preferred in terms of the quality of intake that they have and the quality of placement that they also achieve. And in that process, I'm going to cover this particular institution, which is, and why are we covering this? It's one of India's oldest and most prestigious engineering institutions. This was established in 1854. Established in 1854, right? The placements are 11 to 12 lakh rupees average salary. Highest salary is 50 lakh plus, right? And the admission is through MHT CET, which is a Maharashtra-based entrance test. For the students of Maharashtra, the entrance test. Where 80% of the students come from Maharashtra, but most importantly, 20% come from all India quota also. So what you're going to get into is, of course, if you're a student of Maharashtra, you'll aim for this 80%. But if you're a student from outside the state of Maharashtra, you'll aim for this 20% and get in there. And it's located in Pune, a major educational and industrial hub, offering strong exposure to IT manufacturing, because Pune is also, has evolved as one of the software hubs for this country. And I'll just read out some of the stuff that I have uncovered about this. Of course, I know this institution. I've been there multiple times over. It's one of India's oldest engineering institutions. As I said, 1854 is the origin. It was established in 1854 as the Pune Engineering Class and Mechanical School, making it one of the oldest engineering colleges in Asia, not just India, in Asia. It was set up by the British to train engineers and craftsmen for public works, which is roads, dams, irrigation during colonial India. Right? And COEP's legacy predates IITs by nearly a century. IITs came in about 100 years after COEP was established. And it helped build India's physical infrastructure before independence. So most of the pre-independence era buildings that you see were, COEP would have, hand in that. In fact, if you visit the campus of COEP, this would be one of the most beautiful buildings you would have seen. Very, old, very legacy, very British style, but extremely, the history of those buildings would be very good. The alumni of COEP has contributed to major infrastructure projects, industrial growth, and governance, especially in Maharashtra. COEP is not just an academic institution, it is a silent architect of India's infrastructure and industrial ecosystem, right? And the insight that you must know about all these things is, it gained autonomous status in 2003, and in 2022 it was converted to a university, which is called the COEP Technological University. So right now, what was earlier just a college had become autonomous much later, is now a university. So you're actually joining a university which is called the COEP Technological University. And it continuously reinvented itself, by the way, from a colonial era school to a modern tech university. The journey of engineering in India almost begins with COEP. You must remember, because 1854 was when it was born. Now I'll tell you, how do you get into the college, what kind of placement it offers, what kind of companies come for placement, and how do you actually, even if you're beyond Maharashtra, how do you get into that, what is the 20% quota, and if you're within Maharashtra, what is the 80% quota. We'll also talk about the fee, placement, everything we'll talk about it. As I said, about this institution, let's briefly take you through what essentially this institution is all about. Established in 1854, I've repeated that multiple times over. It's a government institution, spread over 37 acres of land. The buildings of COEP are beautiful. You must go there and see it to understand it. 3,954 students, all in the 4-year undergrad program, of which 72% are boys and 28% are girls. And only 4.5% students come from outside the state of Maharashtra, but 20% is a possibility, mind you. So you must always look at whether the 4.5 can go up to 15% kind of a thing, because some might come through the JEE route through Maharashtra also, which is a possibility. But 177 students are from outside the state of Maharashtra, and if you were to look at it very closely, this becomes a far better option than many of the NITs and IITs, which is where we're asking you to look at it very closely. 92% come from within the state. Outside the country, about 150 students come from outside the country. Just look at the kind of aspiration that the college has, that 150 students have come from outside the country to join COEP, right? And the faculty is 249, 250, which means we're dealing with 1:16 kind of a student faculty ratio. For every 16 students, there is one faculty member. Now about the placements. For all the placement data that we look at, we typically take it from the government's website. The simple reason being it's a bit more authentic, because whenever you submit data to a government of India, you submit it on an affidavit. So to that extent, you actually are signing off saying all data I submitted is true and all those kind of things, right? So we normally take it from those sources only. There we took it from this NIRF data, which is NIRF 2026 data. We took it from NIRF 2026 data, which is the government of, essentially this COEP submitting data to Ministry of Education, Government of India. Here when we look at it, in 24-25, there were 745 students who graduated, 633 students were placed, 99 students opted for higher studies, and the median salary is 10.78 lakh rupees. So essentially what we're dealing with is close to 95% kind of a placement. Because mind you, of the 745, I need to remove almost 100 of them, which means we're dealing with 646 students. From the 646 students who opted to sit for placement process, 633 were placed. So about 97-98% is the kind of placement you're dealing with, and even then the median salary is 10.78 lakh rupees. Very, very phenomenal kind of a number, especially for the kind of branches that it offers. The domains it offers is quite varied, right? And the scale of admission also is very high. Now, when you look at that data in perspective, first year intake is 570, including lateral it's 863, 745 graduated, 633 were placed, 99 opted for higher studies, 98.9% or 99% placement, and 10.78 lakh rupees. And this is consistent. If you look at it, previously it was 95% placement at 10.5 lakh rupees. So consistently it is placing almost all its students at about 10.5 lakh rupees, 11 lakh rupees, despite the fact that it's offering many other branches also. And we're talking of median salary, remember that. Now, if you go further down and look at data of 24-25 on its own website, in CSC, the average CTC is 17.31 lakh. ENTC engineering, which is electronic telecommunication engineering, is 12.65 lakh. Electrical is 10.28 lakh. Instrumentation is 11.63 lakh. Mechanical is 8.34 lakh. Manufacturing is 8.81 lakh. Metallurgy is 5.47 lakh. Civil is 7.86 lakhs. And planning is 5.8 lakh. So you actually have, if you distribute between core and non-core, you're dealing with these three at about, whatever, 11-12 lakh rupees. And the median salary also will shoot up. And then you also have the core engineering that is coming in. And if you look at the maximum salary also, in CSE and all, it's 52.57 lakh. In core engineering, you're dealing with 21 lakh. There's the highest salary. And in metallurgy and all, it's 19.18 lakh. And planning, it's 13.88 lakh. So even the highest salary, if you're the right candidate, it's moving up dramatically. And by the way, the quality of intake of COEP is so good that you'll always be in the safe group where the peer group is extremely competitive, extremely career oriented. And that helps in building your own personality also. Now, the next one is when we look at the data of COEP at a very granular level, As I said, total number of students enrolled is 31, 534 enrolled. Number of companies visited is 248. So every year, if you notice that, about 200 plus companies come for placement. And across the year, when you look at it, average. Earlier we talked of median salary, now I'm talking of average salary. The highest salary is 52.57 lakh and the average salary is 11.5 lakh rupees across all the courses. We're not separating core, non-core, we're not doing that. Across all the things, the average is 11.5 lakh rupees. Again, very good at 99% placement. Going further, we also try to compare it because remember I told you that some of these colleges have a better student outcome, better placements as compared to IITs and NITs and all. So we try to compare it with all the data that we have of all the NITs, IITs and understood, wanting to understand how it's performing. When we look at that data, remember, 10.78 lakh is the average median salary of COEP. Earlier, if you recall, I showed you that statement from the Government of India website where 10.78 lakh is the median salary at 99% placement. NITs, about 16 of them are lesser than 10.78 lakhs. 16 NITs have a lesser median salary than 10.78 lakhs and 10 IITs have a lesser median salary than 10.78 lakhs. Right. Here for NITs, all 31 if I take it, the average of the median salary is 10.5 lakh, this is 10.78 lakh. And all the 15 IITs if I take it, the average of the median salary is 11.7 lakh, we're dealing with 10.78 lakh. So the numbers are extremely strong as we see. And when we look at it also, like for example, IIT Dhanbad is 12 lakhs, IIT Jodhpur is 12 lakhs, Tirupati is 11 lakhs and all. And across the board, NIT Meghalaya is 10.5, 10 and all. So beyond that, if you look at these numbers, you'll essentially know why COEP should be a part of your consideration set, despite the fact that you also have a few NITs and all. Because some, of course, if you get into the best IITs and NITs, please go ahead. But don't just jump onto an NIT, IIT and all for the heck of it because you want to actually have a brand name called NIT, IIT. This COEP predates 100 years before all the IITs and all came in. It's got a history, a legacy, and one of the best institutions that you have in the country. The fact is, many of you don't even know that such an institution exists. Many of you don't even know that there is a possibility of getting into COEP through the common admission process for the 20% through the JEE quota. And that is what we're talking about. Don't go by what your coaching institution tells you that go to NIT or IIT because they want to make that claim so that they can actually sell it to the next bunch of coaching aspirants. Don't go by that. You must do what is good for you. Look at data, look at information and then make the choice. Don't go because you want to be seen as an alumni of NIT or IIT because this one is far, far better than many of those people, many of those institutions. Right. Now, moving ahead, what are the companies that come for placement if you look at it? Accenture, Adani, Cognizant, LinkedIn, LG, Goldman Sachs, KPMG, ABB, Dell, Deloitte, Honeywell, HSBC, Caterpillar, Amazon, IBM, Infosys, SAP, Jio, Hyundai, Mahindra, HP, Microsoft, Rakuten, Reliance, TVS, UBS, Mahindra, Tech Mahindra, Capgemini, Visa, Siemens, Nvidia. So you have all kinds of companies, banks, investment banks, software companies, technology companies, startups, consulting companies, investment bank companies, PwC Consulting, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan Investment Bank, Barclays a bank, Axis Bank, Flipkart, Intel, right, hardware, Qualcomm. So you actually have all kinds of companies going there for placement. And this typically happens when your institution is so old that your alumni would be all over the place. They would be occupying senior positions in many, many companies because remember this institution is about 150, 200 years old. So what you have is this alumni would have joined in some company and would have grown up the ladder to become a very senior functionary in different companies, the same company or different companies. But they'll be very, very at a senior level in many of these companies and they invariably come back to the alma mater and start recruiting from there, which is where it will always help you. The network, the alumni connect of this institution will be second to none. Because of the age and the legacy of the institution, it will always come in handy for you. Now, you also need to understand how do you get into the place and what kind of cutoff. And I'll tell you how this works out, right? Civil engineering, the actual sanction intake is 150. Maharashtra state quota is 120. JEE is 30 students. So you actually are trying to get into through this JEE quota if you're beyond a Maharashtra student. If you're a Maharashtra student, you will come through this quota. Right. In computer science, just 240 is the intake for Maharashtra and 60 for state, beyond the state, JEE rather. Electronics and telecommunications is 120 here and 30 here. Electrical engineering is 120 here and 30 here. Instrumentation is 48 here and 12 here. Besides that, they also have, two other things, which is one is for OCI, PIO, and, basically foreign nationals and those kind of things. NRIs, which is called PIO, which is people of Indian origin, or OCI, which is they carry the Overseas Citizen of India card, right? That is 20%. So these are extranumerary. So this 100% is over, and beyond this extranumerary comes in. And that's how the seats are not 150, but if you look at it, it becomes plus 25% beyond 150, which is 188. And many students come in also for that, and that's the reason why if you remember, when I showed you the first thing, what 150 students come from outside the state of, outside the country. That is through this route. And they obviously have a different fee structure also, by the way, right? Now, what you're looking at is trying to get into this if you're from outside the state of Maharashtra. If you're a Maharashtra student, this is a better competition for you because you're competing within Maharashtra and you actually have a better percentage also possibly, right? Now, this is the seat matrix that you have, and this is beyond all those things, all the time. You can actually take a screenshot of this. You'll understand how many seats are there and how many extranumerary and how many are for foreign nationals also, right? Now, based on this, what is the kind of thing? And as I said, 80% from the state of Maharashtra and 20% is from the, the common admission process through the All India quota, for which you need to have the JEE rank or a score. Now, the highest closing rank of MHT CET for the 80%, and this I'm giving you as an indication so that you understand the quality of student that goes in, right? For Btech Computer Engineering, the highest closing rank is 913th rank. Remember, in Maharashtra, about 4.5 lakh students take the MHT examination for PCM. About 4.5 lakh students. From the 4.5 lakh, your rank should be 913, which means we're dealing with 99.8 percentile. That's the kind of competition, or that's the kind of quality of student that you'll get here. For Btech AI and machine learning, it's 589, which is 99.85 percentile, 9.86 percentile. For Btech electronics and telecommunications, it's 1332, which is 99.7 percentile. That's the kind of numbers that you're dealing with. Electrical engineering is 2016, mechanical is 2281. I'm just giving you an indication so that you understand the quality of intake that comes into COEP. And of course, because of the quality of intake, you also have fantastic placements happening for the institution. Moving further, the fees. We also talked about the fees. If you're coming through MHT CET, the fee is very nominal. For open categories, 1.56 lakh rupees, right? For the first year Btech student, 1.56 lakh rupees, open category. Tuition fees, development fees, other fees, examination fees, and so on and so forth. That's the kind of fee that you're dealing with. And if you're a category student, of course, there's a different fee structure. You can look at that very closely here. For they also have something for J&K migrants, right? Girls open category, you have a different rate structure. All India quota, JEE, the fee is 1.7 lakh rupees per annum, which means over 4 years, you're spending about 7.2 lakh rupees. Very nominal. For the kind of outcome that they give, which is the placements and all, 1.8 lakh is very, very nominal, right? So that is what you're dealing with, and ACAP round, you actually have all these things, right? Now, typically your fees, as I said, is between 6 lakh and 9 lakh, depending on which state you're coming from. NRI is different. We're not talking about that at this point in time. Now, we also looked at, because it's a legacy institution, we also wanted to look at how are the students who studied at this particular institution performing in their lives, where are they domiciled, where are they staying, and have they moved up in the career, and have they moved beyond India, and so on and so forth. When we look at that data, we found about 37,984 students who claimed that they studied at COEP on LinkedIn. We access the LinkedIn profiles of all the students who are studying at, or who claimed that they studied at COEP. When we look at that, in JP Morgan Chase, right now 69 students are working. In fact, at some point in time, over a period, 152 students at some point in time worked at JP Morgan Chase. In Accenture, 642 worked at some point in time, 159 are right now working. Amazon, 670 students worked at some point in time. Right now, 198 students are right now working. In Deloitte, 308 students are working. And remember, when I talked of the companies that are coming in, all these companies were also there who COEP claimed were coming for placement. Now we're corroborating what COEP says with the number of people who are working in these things through the LinkedIn profile, right? Now, moving further, we also looked at, obviously, the trillion-dollar companies, the Meta, Nvidia, Google, how many of students are working in, because if you're very skilled enough, you will find a way of working into these kind of big companies where the monies are big, the kind of offers that you get are bigger, right? When we looked at that data, 55 students are right now working in Meta. Over a period of time, 118 students of COEP worked at Meta at some point in time. In Apple, 160 worked at some point in time. 96 are right now working in Apple. In Amazon, 617 students worked at some point in time. Right now, 198 students are working. In NVIDIA, 166 worked at some point in time. Right now, 83 are working. And in Google, 315 worked at some point in time. Right now, 138 students are working. This is extremely credible. Because when you have so many students working in some of the biggest companies that you have on earth, then you would have done something good in terms of the quality of student and the quality of teaching and learning to make them so competent that they'll find their way into the best companies on earth. That's what COEP has achieved. We also looked further down to understand where they're working and whether they're working in India or outside of India and all. And that data is much more stunning for me, because when I looked at that data, of the same 38,000 that we talked of, 79% are working in India, which means 21% students are working around the world. They are working beyond India. 21% students, 12% are in USA alone. Just 12%. When 12% students are working in USA right now who studied at COEP at some point, right? 1% are in Canada, 1% are in UAE, 1% are in Germany. Now, when you actually have that kind of number, 21% students working world over, it's an extremely strong number. 65% are working in, of the 17%, 65% are in Maharashtra, of course, because it's based in Pune and Maharashtra, and most of the companies who came for placement here would have been, in Maharashtra and would have placed them in Maharashtra possibly, right? But that's the kind of nature. About 4% are working in Karnataka. Of course, it's the software capital of India, and Bombay being the commercial capital of India, you can find that. And then USA being the capital of the world in a certain sense, or the what you call the dream destination for career people. You actually have about 12% students working in US also. In fact, stunning, because the number of students working in Karnataka and the number of students working in US is 3 times of what it is in Karnataka. Now that is what COEP has achieved. So the simple thing that I'm saying is to all students out there, whenever you're looking at making a choice for the right college, please keep those very good, strong institutions which are at a state level, at a city level, which are not national institutions, but perform far better than many of the national institutions, but they've been very good at the state level, but deliver fantastic outcomes. And especially they have legacy, they have history, they've been there for a long time, and they've been delivering consistently again and again and again over the last many decades. Keep that as an option, and that will help you out. Thank you so much. And most importantly, before I end, again the same request for you. Subscribe to Btech360, send us a message if you want to talk to us, and send us a message on this platform itself if you want me to cover any other thing. Thank you so much. Namaste.